Today is Thursday, March 25th, and welcome to the 8:30 show. I'm KJ, and every Thursday night you'll find me here at 8:30 p.m. on YouTube at Metro Conservative Media. Please hit the subscribe button and give me a thumbs up. At the same time, I'm also live on Facebook at Metro Conservative Media's Facebook page. Please like and join the conversation by commenting on this video. We appreciate the support. This is a show where I chat with various individuals about their conservative journey. Tonight, my guest is Diante Johnson. Diante Johnson is founder and president of the Black Conservative Federation. Under his leadership, BCF has evolved from a political networking group for Black conservatives to an organization focused on political advocacy, outreach, and engagement. He's a native of Chicago and a longtime resident of Danville, Illinois. He ran for his first political office at the age of 19. He also served on the then presidential candidate, Dr. Ben Carson's campaign. He has both advised and worked on a number of state and local campaigns, most recently serving as North Carolina's regional field director with Donald J. Trump for President campaign. In October 2019, Diante joined the 2020 Trump campaign as Black Voices for Trump, the advisory board member. And then in June of 2021, Diante was elected to represent Illinois as an at-large delegate at the 2020 Republican National Convention. He was also elected to serve on the RNC's 2020 Committee on Permanent Arrangements. Wow. So along with all that, he also does multiple appearances on Fox News, CNN, OWN, Newsmax, and op-eds in the Washington Examiner and the Daily Caller. He's been recognized as Newsmax and Red Alert Politics' most influential 30 under 30, which after reading that bio, you would definitely know that. So thank you again for coming on. Welcome to the show, Diante.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor, truly an honor.
Yes. Well, the honor is all mine. I'm really excited about our chat tonight. How's it going? I know you just celebrated a birthday, right?
I did. I celebrated a birthday, and I am grateful, and I'm for all of the wishes and just everything. Just another year around the sun, and so just excited for what this next year has in store for me, and I'm excited to continue to push forward and fight in this movement.
All right, absolutely. Well, before we get into your background and the bulk of our conversation, which is why are you Republican, I want to start off. I always start off with kind of a random question and answer period. It's a fun segment where basically I'll just ask you random questions. Most of it's kind of like a this or that. And it's just a way for the audience to get to know you in a fun way.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So we'll start with, all right. So what is your most unpopular opinion?
My most unpopular opinion. Wow, that's a tough question there. Okay, I will say this. In the political,
it could be anything, you know.
I'll give you a political one. One of my popular opinions is my support for Paul Ryan. I would say that Paul Ryan. My support.
Okay.
I tell people all the time. I came into the party because of hearing Paul Ryan speak, and you know he's not that popular in the movement today, but that's what I think my most unpopular opinion belief is.
Okay, all right. And then let's see here. The next one, which would you require a national mask mandate or let each state decide?
Well, you know, I believe in individual liberties, and so I would not require a national mask mandate. I would actually make it optional. If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you don't want to wear a mask, suit yourself. I think sometimes you try to legislate morality a little bit too much. Let people live their lives.
Okay. All right. And then what is a challenge you would never want to face again?
A challenge that I would never want to face again.
Yeah.
Um, wow. Um,
I'll tell one thing I would think of when I always ask people this is I ran a marathon. Actually, it was a half marathon, and I would never want to do it again.
that is a hard question
Mhm.
because I think a lot of our challenges has made us who we were today. But um,
Absolutely.
if I were to do it again, I probably would not start another organization.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Okay.
Starting an organization is it's very rewarding. It
Hmm.
is something that I enjoy doing, but
Hmm.
the process from birth to every year, it's tedious. It's tedious, and it's
Okay.
definitely challenging.
All right. Let's see here. Which would you prefer? What do you prefer, winter or summer? If you
I
had to choose.
So Christmas is my favorite holiday, and so it has to be
Okay.
winter. And I'm from
Okay.
Illinois, so the cold.
Right. Okay. Um, what quality do you value most in your friends?
Honesty.
Okay.
Not just you being honest, but having a group of friends that can be honest with me, and as a leader,
Hmm.
it's so important to have people in your corner that is not just going to tell you what you want to hear, but tell you what you need to hear. That is going to be there and say, "Listen, Diante, that I don't know, I don't agree with what you just said. I don't, and tell me why." Or Diante, you should be doing this. We're human, and we
Hmm.
need a leader. We need people who are going to be honest with us. Honesty means a lot, and so honesty is the big value that I look for. Tell me the truth. Be my friend.
Hmm. Okay, and that's what real friends do. They tell us the truth. So I agree with that. And then lastly, if you had to choose today between these two people, who would you choose for president? Dan Crenshaw or Ron DeSantis?
Ron DeSantis.
Okay.
Ron
Okay.
DeSantis. Ron DeSantis really has set an example for the
Hmm.
entire country on how handling with the coronavirus. But also, one thing that a lot of people don't know is Ron DeSantis has the most African American um, cabinet positions out of all Republican states. Actually,
Wow.
Democratic states, and so there's over six actually
Mm.
African Americans that he has appointed.
Wow. And that's something that's not pushed in the news. I
Oh, of
wonder
course,
why.
of course not.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, that's all I have for the fun kind of segment. So, our next segment is pretty much the bulk of our conversation. And this is if you could just talk about your conservative journey. So, have you always been conservative and a Republican?
So, yes, I have.
Mhm.
And I believe we all have. I believe I just come to the realization a lot earlier than some. Some still have not came there yet. But when I got involved in politics, I said, listen, my birth certificate did not say that I had to be a Democrat or a Republican. And
Mhm.
so, therefore, I'm going to make that decision on my own. Yes, my grandparents, yes, my parents, yes, my family has voted Democratic all their lives, but that doesn't mean I have to. And
Okay.
so I did the research. I
Mhm.
did the research, and as an inquisitive, and I was in eighth grade when I became a Republican.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Inquisitive eighth grader, I said, "Listen, what is it that? Why do I have to vote Democratic?" And I also had to think about it this way: is my family has been voting Democratic for decades.
Mhm.
Black community has been voting Democratic for decades, and nothing has changed in our communities. Absolutely nothing. And
Mhm.
so I thought, listen, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting the same, expecting a different result. And so I did the research and I looked at the values and I compared my values to the values of the Republican Party. And I said, I am a Republican.
Mm.
I am
Now,
not just a Republican, but since you guys in Baltimore, I'm a die in the wool Republican.
right,
And
Frederick
so,
Douglass.
yes, Frederick Douglass said it best. And so that is how, I became a conservative, as I did the research.
Now, you mentioned something. So, usually, when I speak with people, well, I'll say the conversation I had before last, I was speaking with a gentleman in California who is Republican. And he brought up a good point. He said that most minority communities, the default is Democrat and liberal politics for us. And so he mentioned, and I love this, but he said how he put this. He said that becoming a conservative or Republican is almost like we are kind of waking up. We're the woke ones. We're the rebels. We're the people who think out of the box and say, well, this is my default. This is what the news pushes us to. This is what pop culture pushes me to. But I want to find out what this conservatism is about. So what was it like for you? I know you started in 8th grade, but was it like for you being in a Democratic family? What do your parents say, or what do your friends say? And how do you navigate those conversations?
So I am blessed, and I brag about this all the time. My family is not conservative; they're not Republicans, but I'm blessed because so many families I've seen people get disinvited from family events. I see
Yeah.
people get disinvited from Thanksgiving dinners, and I'll tell you this: my family is accepting. They're supportive. They are supportive of me. And as my grandmother always says, and as my aunt and uncles and so many people in the family always says, is that as a young Black male, there's so much more that I could be doing. So much more that I could be doing. And so as an individual, I want to be a solutionist. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we run the Black Conservative Federation as a solution-oriented organization. And so I don't get any pushback from family members. I don't get any pushback from friends. I can't say that there are some friends that I have lost, but I tell people, listen, if you lost friends because of your political values, 9 out of 10, they really weren't your friends to begin with. And so I don't get any pushback. Now I may get pushback when I use this quote of saying that what is a Black conservative? A Black conservative is someone who dares to believe the teachings of their grandparents. My grandparents may push back on that, but that's because they don't understand that they are conservative. My grandfather is I believe who made me a conservative.
So let me go, if I could jump in there. What do you mean by they are conservative? What are some of the things that you see that they do, or the characteristics that they have that make you believe that they do believe in conservative values?
Well, when we think about our grandparents, when we think about how they, the values that they possess, we talk about the freedom of speech. We talk about our Second Amendment rights. Growing up, it was a thing to have a gun in the home to protect the family. We talk about free enterprise. I give you an example of my great grandmother. My great grandmother used to do drapery. She had her own business, and she did drapery. She made the drapes, and she sold the drapes, and she also went and helped and put the drapes up at people's houses. And so we're talking about free enterprise. We're talking about the ability to own a business, the ability to make your own money, to be independent, And so our grandparents fought for that. They fought for that right for us to be able to not depend on the government, but to be to pull our own self up on by our own bootstraps and do what we have to do to succeed and take care of our families. And so I'd say it's based upon the teachings of our grandparents. It's based upon the teachings of the generations before. Growing up, we had Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. We had The Cosby Show. We had Family Matters. And all of those things, all those shows taught conservative values. Family Matters taught respect for police officers. It taught respect for authority. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air taught about the different, wealthy family. We saw those things. We saw The Cosby Show where we had all those different life lessons. And so and then we even saw Good Times where we saw a family who was too proud to take a handout, but would do whatever it would take to make sure they took care of their children.
All right, yeah. That you just took me down memory lane, watching all the sitcoms and the shows back in the day. So yes, I totally agree. Now, let's change gears for a little bit and talk about now President Biden. So, as you know, he's been in office for several months now. Was it 2 months, 3 months now? So, what do you feel is the most, I would say, detrimental policy or action that to the Black community that the Biden administration has already taken or has already instituted?
Let's talk about $86 million for illegal immigrants to go stay in hotels. Well, if you wouldn't have told them to come over here, we wouldn't have to pay for that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you welcomed them over here. That was your campaign promise. You told them to come over. And so, listen, they came over. I don't blame them from coming over. Listen, the president of this country told me to come over. Listen, I'm taking the family and I'm coming. Mm-hmm. And so you promoted illegal immigration in this country. And then you want our country to pay for it. But the problem that I have is that $86 million, we talk about Chicago, we talk about Baltimore, we talk about Philadelphia, we talk about all of these major cities, Detroit, that is facing economic hardships in the Black community, schools that are suffering. We talk about people who are not able to put food on the table. We talk about a national pandemic that we're going through, but yet you want to pay $86 million for illegal immigrants? It's sad. But I'll tell you this. That isn't, and I'm not a Joe Biden supporter. But that isn't the Joe Biden that I know. And that's why I say that I just don't think that he is fit to be president. Because Joe Biden 10 years ago, would not have made that stupid mistake. He wouldn't have done it. And so that is something that is just ridiculous to me. And I believe it's horrible for our country.
Yeah. And we haven't even begun to see the effects of it. This is just the beginning. This is just to get them all in and have the immigrants move to where they need to go. Now we haven't even begun to get into the pressure and that they're going to put on our social services. This is just the beginning.
I mean, let's even talk about taking jobs away from the Black community. You know, the Black community we've always been at the bottom of the barrel. Okay. We have always been at the bottom of the barrel. However, we have now been replaced with our space in line has been replaced by illegal immigrants. When was the last time we ever seen a government shutdown for the Black community? The last time we ever seen a shutdown for the urban community? But we saw one for illegal immigrants. We saw how much they fought for that. But then we think about it this way. Joe Biden campaigned on illegal immigration. He made promises to illegal immigrants. Joseph Biden made promises to illegal immigrants running for president. He made these promises to people who aren't even U.S. citizens, but did not make a single promise to Black America.
And let's connect the dots. So why? Why do you believe?
Well, because the Black vote is not up for grabs in the Democratic community. The Black vote is not marketable. The Black vote is not, we don't have any voting power in the Black community. Because when you have 90% of Black Americans voting Democratic, listen, if I was a Democrat, I wouldn't work for their vote either. Because you're going to automatically get it. You're going to automatically get it. That's why I say it is so important for Black Americans to not only be Democratic, but be conservatives. I'm not saying every Black American should be a Republican, but we need to share our wealth. We need to make the Black community a voting bloc. Because we are the only race that gives 90% of our vote for one race. And so therefore they can say whatever they want to. And we witnessed that. Joe Biden said that we weren't Black. Joe Biden said that they're going to put us back in chains. Joe Biden said all of these things, and yet we still voted for him. The Black community accepted catfish nuggets for a vote. That's what they're doing. And we're fine with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Now, one thing I've seen since we've gone into the Biden administration and the new year are these buzzwords, two buzzwords that have become really popular, and that is equity and reparations. So we've heard about equitable vaccination. We've heard about equitable community development. Judge Garland was pressed on equity versus equality during his confirmation hearing. The list goes on. What do you believe is this? What's this about? I mean, Cotton points out that the Biden administration's conception of equity is to treat people differently based on their race. What are your thoughts on that, Diante?
Well, it's so funny, and I said this when we started talking about the Black Lives Matter movement. Is that if we want to really talk about being equal, if we really want to talk about coming together as a nation, if we want to talk about being unified racially, we got to actually talk about the real stuff that matters. Mm-hmm. Is that painting Black Lives Matter on the street does absolutely nothing for a single Black soul on this earth. It does nothing. Let's talk about how we can fix our schools. Let's talk about the disparity, the health disparity, the educational disparity. Let's talk about the income disparity. Let's talk about things that matter. Let's talk about that $86 million that could have went to help Black businesses. Let's talk about that. If you really want it, if you really care about it, if you really care for the Black community, put your money where your mouth is. I have not yet seen a bill, an executive order, or anything placed on Joe Biden's desk that helps uplift the Black community. Has not seen nothing that's going to repair Black businesses that were looted this past summer. I haven't seen anything that's going to repair making sure that Black kids are educated and making sure that we are, closing that achievement gap. I haven't seen.
And what about how the left and progressives rationalize that the pursuit of equity is essential to rectifying this historic discrimination? I mean, how do you feel about that? And is that true? Is that is that a true fix for the state of urban communities across the country?
No, I think, listen, one of the things that we're going to have to realize is that we will never get rid of discrimination. Okay. We will never get rid of racism. As long as there is sin, there will always be racism.
Okay.
I mean, it's just how that is. And so, I've experienced it. We have a United States Senator. We have Senator Tim Scott has experienced racism. Okay. And so if a United States Senator is experiencing it, there is no law that you can pass that's going to stop it. There is nothing that you can do. There's nothing economically that you can do. I see people who have 6-7-figure bank accounts that still go into a store and experience discrimination. There's people who still, it's there. It's there. And so, however, one thing that we have to do is use that to build us and make us fight harder to be successful. One of the best ways the best form of revenge is success. Okay. And so as long as you have the Democratic Party that is constantly telling our community that, listen, you are oppressed. Yes, you're going through this, you're going through that, you're doing this, you're doing that, and holding us back, we're going to continue to keep that mindset. It's like raising a child. If you continue to tell a child that they will not be successful, you continue to tell a child, you continue to tell people what they can't do, what they won't be able to do, it gets into their mind, especially small-minded individuals. They start to believe that. They start to believe that. Listen, the Democrats' biggest strategy was the Republicans are racist. They can just say Republicans are racist, Republicans are racist, Republicans are racist, and then the Black community believes it. And that's all that they have. But they don't they can never tell us why the Republicans are racist. They could never have told us why Donald Trump was racist. They could never have told us what Donald Trump had, like what policy Donald Trump passed that was against the Black community.
And that's the most important thing, because you hear when people, because when you hear people say systemic racism, the premise is that people in higher in hiring capabilities, or people in high positions are putting in policy, putting in processes that are racist and that have a detrimental effect on people of color and whomever they're trying to do this against. So if that's what we would need to look at, you would think, at least as far as with Trump, what policies did he place that caused some type of systemic racism or discrimination against a group or individuals? And you can't think of one.
I haven't found one yet. You know, I mean, listen, if he's a racist, he's horrible at it. I mean, we talk about criminal justice reform. We talk about opportunity zones. We talk about what we've done what HUD did with Envision centers. We talk about all of these things that has benefited the Black community.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, I agree.
It's a talking point, and they use it, and people believe it, and it is what it is.
So where do we go from here as Black conservatives across the nation? We did see an increase in the minority vote, especially Black male vote for President Trump in the last election. How do we carry on with that? How do we grow that? What do you think there?
We keep, and this is where the Black Conservative Federation, this is what we do, is that we are strong on messaging. Okay. We have 2 rules of engagement at the Black Conservative Federation. The first rule is we must engage without enraging. We must be able to have a conversation like you and I are having. We're not going to trigger the left. We're not going to defeat the left. We want to win the left. We want to win them over. We want to win them over. And so we have to engage without enraging. Then we also have to learn how to disagree without being necessarily disagreeable. When we begin to do those things, we will be able to move into circles and communities that has never once accepted conservatives. It's the messaging. Then we also have to show empathy. The Democratic Party has won elections based upon empathy. They constantly use that word empathy. They constantly put their lives in other people's shoes, and we have to do that. You know, the Bible says that if you want to be seen friendly, you will show yourself friendly if you want to have friends. The Bible says also, and they'll know we are Christians by our love. And so we have to take the biblical principles, the biblical message there, and convert it to as we are messengers in the conservative movement. And so we have to have a winning message. We have to have an engaging message. Okay. But also we got to be willing to fight. One of the things is that we want to be tough, but never mean. Okay. So when I say engaging and not enraging, disagree, not disagree, but I'm not saying don't be ready to fight. What I'm saying is don't be mean with it. Let's just be tough with it. Attack policy, not personality, not people. Okay. And when we understand that, I think we're going to do fine. But we got to make sure that we're getting people to run. Baltimore, the city of Baltimore had, I believe, around the country, the most Black conservatives running for office
yes,
we've ever seen.
Yeah.
This year, we had over 70 Black conservatives who ran for Congress around the country.
Wow.
Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going, and let's make sure that we're getting people running. Listen, you're watching, and you're in a community, run for school board. We want our schools to change. We want to stop that liberal indoctrination. Run for school board. Run for city council. Run for state senate, state delegate, state house, state rep. Listen, Congress, whatever it is, get involved. Get involved in your local communities, because the change starts with you. Politics is local. It's not national, it's local. And that's where it starts.
All right. And then lastly, one thing, and I agree with everything you said, how do we overcome the media? I mean, they've got the left. It's gotten really bad now with this media, the mainstream media, at least. They demonize, someone just commented, they demonize Republicans, they demonize conservatives, and most people watch this. Do you have any advice on how to overcome that in our local areas?
Well, for one, I don't watch it. The second thing is, we won't. As long as they have a camera, lights, and action, they're going to continue to do what they're going to do. What we have to do is we have to make sure that we do our job in educating people outside of that. Okay. I've always tell people, people say, oh, well, I was watching CNN and CNN said, well, listen, let me tell you how the media works. Okay. And we have to talk about it on both sides. Is that Republicans and Fox News, liberals and CNN, and then you got MSNBC, who is way too far left. Okay. And so I figure this way is that it's biased whichever way we take it. Okay. And so, and actually Fox has become a little bit more in the middle. And so find out politics for yourself. It's the same thing as going to church. Going to church, listen, the pastor's going to give a message, but you should know the Bible for yourself too. Learn these principles, learn these values for yourself.
All right. And then the last thing I always ask each guest, what is your number one hope? And then what is your number one concern for the country and your community?
My hope is that, and this is one reason why I get up every morning, is that my nieces and nephews and future children will inherit an America that is stronger than it was when I inherited it. That's my hope. That's why I fight. And Ronald Reagan said it best, is that freedom is no more than one generation away from extinction. It wasn't given to our children through the bloodstream, but it's something that must be fought for, protected, and handed down for them to do the same. Or else we'll spend our golden years explaining to our children's children what it wants to be a free man. Okay? So we have to continue to fight for freedom and continue that. But my fear is that if we don't take our country back, we won't have anything left. The values, the traditional values, the family values, we won't have anything to come back to. We have to take it back. 2022 is important. We need everybody fighting. We need everybody. Listen, not the old term, but the new former term phrase used to be, we need everybody and their mama out knocking doors. Literally.
It's not funny, but you're right.
It's sad. We need everybody making phone calls. We need everybody donating to campaigns because it is so important.
All right. And what about, do you have any insight on mail-in voting? You think we're going to continue that, or do you think that's going to end with the pandemic?
Well, listen, I'm actually saying that Republicans start promoting mail-in voting, because I guarantee once they start promoting it, they'll get rid of it. That's one of the things that I wish President Trump would have done, the same like he said that he did with the wall. If President Trump would have said no wall, they would have wanted the wall. If President Trump would have said, you know what, let's do mail-in voting, let's support mail-in voting, let's stand for mail-in voting, I guarantee you there would not have been mail-in voting. Because they want to do the complete opposite.
Right. That's right. All right. Well, we are at time at this point. We are at the time at the end of the show. Where can people find you? We have listed the your organization's address. Anything you'd like to promote, or anything you have coming up that you'd like to share, please do so at this time.
You guys can find myself on Twitter at BCF President. You can find BCF, the Black Conservative Federation, on Twitter at BCF Official _. You can find us on Instagram at BCF Official _. And then you can also key us in on Facebook at the Black Conservative Federation. Visit our website at bcfaction.com. There you can make a donation. You can get involved. We're always looking for people to get involved. Listen, there's a lot of work to be done, and we need as many people as we can get to get involved. And so, you can get involved there. Just want to ask some questions or whatever it may be. Visit our website, and all of our information there, our values, where we stand on different issues are there. And listen, I just encourage everyone to continue to keep on fighting.
All right. And I will actually see you at the end of April. I think you are hosting defending freedom of speech on college campuses at a forum. So I will see you there, and looking forward to that. Yes. All right. Well, that wraps up this episode of the 8:30 show. Like, share, and leave a comment on our Facebook or YouTube page at Metro Conservative Media. We love to get your feedback. I hope to connect with you again next Thursday at the same time. Wishing you warm days and starry nights. Good night.